evening, everyone. I am so excited to have my dear friend, Miss Sonya Frazier of Modus Life LLC. We are beginning our series of self-improvement strategies for entrepreneurs. And I could not think of a better way to kick off this series than to interview the queen of self-care herself, Miss Sonya Frazier. So Sonya, I know you are my dear friend, but why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself to the guests who have joined us for this webinar. Tell us a little bit more about your business as well.
For sure. Well, thank you so much, Jessica, for inviting me. I am so excited about this initiative and just happy to be in the number to share the gospel of self-love, self-care, self-improvement, self-love, all the selves.
Yes.
But my name is Sonya Frazier. I am a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. And from that, it really sprung my purpose of teaching other people how to engage in self-care. As you know, being a therapist, it's not an easy job. You're hearing a lot of trauma, a lot of things each and every day for 8 hours a day, depending on your work setting. So self-care is very important in order to maintain your own sanity and also to be able to show up for your clients. So with this, it sprung out my life purpose of encouraging others and really influencing others to incorporate self-care in their day-to-day life. Modus Life LLC was established with that goal of empowering individuals to create the lives they want to live through wellness. And my goal is specifically to show women of color, we'll pause right there, how attainable a consistent self-care practice can be and how to make self-care a priority each and every day by their standards. I know even with friends or family members, it's always we're giving, but we're not giving back to ourselves. So this is where Modus Life LLC has grown to become. So I do that through individual coaching, workshops, or even by providing mental health counseling referral services. So getting you connected with a therapist in your area to help on your self-care journey or even your healing journey as well. So
Excellent.
And I've been doing this since 2013. So it's been
technically, like I said, Sonya and I have known each other since 7th grade, and legit, she has been helping me to get my life since 7th grade. Whether I knew it or not, now as an older woman, I can reflect on our many conversations sitting across the lunch table from each other in junior high and high school. So you all, she is the absolute truth when it comes to this field, not only self-care, but just self-improvement. And she has a unique gift to how she listens and processes the things that you're going through. So I'm so excited for this conversation. Let's just dive right in and let's just get to it. Yeah. Talk to us more about this concept of self-care, right? So I feel like over the recent year, it has grown in popularity where it's kind of a catchy saying. However, it has way more power than just being, excuse me, a cliche or something that's fun or you do on every Sunday or Saturday. So talk to us more about what is self-care and why is it important specifically for entrepreneurs?
Yes, and you're exactly correct, Jessica, when you say it is the trendiest thing now. So self-care is Sunday, self-care is Saturday, and there's a lot of definitions out there, but the one that I subscribe to is self-care is the intentional practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's mental, physical, spiritual, or emotional health. So there are a lot of components to self-care. And if you want to, you can even throw in financial health because that's a part of your self-care as well. But it's more than manicures and pedicures. It can be that, but I don't want people to feel like it has to be some major event where you have to go plan a full day. You have to go to a spa in order to attain it. No, you can do this each and every day. So I think that's my lane. Self-care is something you can do daily. Yes, it's nice to book a room and do all those things that cost money, but it's affordable, it's attainable, it's accessible to anyone who wants it. So
yes. So what I heard you say is it really is a mindset, right? So without even having to spend money or do anything extra, self-care really starts with your mind. I love that definition. Can you give us that definition again, the one that you subscribe to?
Yes, the one I subscribe to is self-care is the intentional practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's mental, physical, spiritual, or emotional health.
Yes.
Like I said, if you want a bonus point, go ahead and add financial in there.
Yes, I am taking all bonuses.
Yes. If you want extra credit, go ahead and add that financial component too.
Yes. So I really wanted to focus the area around entrepreneurship and self-care in entrepreneurship, right? So I'm an entrepreneur, you are an entrepreneur. You also work, full-time. I have worked full-time. Why do you think for entrepreneurs specifically with the type of lifestyle that most entrepreneurs typically live, that it's important to put self-care at the forefront?
That's a great question. And I would say the most important thing is just to remember when you were working full time, you earn paid time off. So it's a benefit for a reason. And the journey of entrepreneurship can be one that is isolating if you're not connecting, or if you're a solopreneur, it's you and it's all you. So there's a lot of pressure in entrepreneurship to produce, to have an outcome, to make a sale, to generate income. And just the weight of that on one person can be a lot, especially if you are head of household, if you have mouths to feed, if you have parents who are depending on you, or even if you have staff under you that you're paying. A lot of the success is coming from you and your decisions, your actions. So just the weight of that, and sometimes feeling as if we need to overcram our schedules with meetings, or stay up late, be on Instagram, be on Twitter, be on Facebook, be on TikTok, be on whatever else comes out, all of those platforms, always posting, getting engagement. And, it's just, when do you stop? When do you take a break? When do you schedule some time to shut down everything while still taking care of business? But I think for entrepreneurs, it is important to schedule self-care as a meeting. Block the time on your calendar, whether it's I don't take calls before 9 a.m. because that's my time to grab a coffee, grab tea, drink some water, stretch, read, pray, meditate, whatever you need to do, exercise, getting all of that out early in the day. So it's really about boundaries as well, for entrepreneurs. I think that's the biggest thing, setting those boundaries in place to where you do have an off switch or a pause button. Because as you know, sometimes we got to keep going, but just make sure you're checking in to schedule that time for yourself.
Yes. Woo. Okay. Well, I hope people are able to take notes and are writing fast, honey, because I'm taking a little bit, but oh my goodness, all of those gems you just dropped is so good. One thing that really resonated with me was that block it out on your calendar, right? So I've been getting better about actually doing it and having the intention about doing it, but that extra step of blocking it out on my calendar. So I'm diligent about blocking appointments and client things, client calls, but that extra step of blocking out self-care on your calendar, I think will be transformational for a lot of folks, including myself. Because
even if it's lunch, block a lunch out, 30 minutes, something like,
Yes.
it sounds small, but it can have such a big impact on your day, your productivity, your mood, everything. So
Yes. Yes, that's excellent. It really becomes that sacred space. And like you said, it establishes boundaries as well, which is so very important. Oh, I told y'all Miss Sonya is the truth. Okay, so let's talk about as we know, September is self-improvement month. What are some self-improvement mantras that you can share that maybe you yourself subscribe to, or some that you would encourage for entrepreneurs with a busy lifestyle?
That's a great question. So I have a few. The main one that I've been holding on to and giving out to others is just give yourself grace. I think as entrepreneurs, sometimes there's a spirit of being critical of yourself and, maybe a little tinge of perfectionism, just to get things right, get things perfect, but give yourself grace. So I think even me telling myself that at times has just allowed me to stop and breathe, and just okay, it's all right. It's all right if it's not perfect. It's all right if I have to postpone it. I'm giving myself grace. So that's one that just really allows myself to be human and not be perfect.
Yeah.
Another one is my actions today influence who I'm becoming tomorrow. So that really helps me with I don't feel like it, so what I do today builds on to what's going to happen or manifest tomorrow. So small actions, big impact. That's what I've been on all 2021.
Yes.
And then another one, lastly, I'll give you three because we go in numbers here.
Yes.
Today I'm showing up as my best self, which may be different than what my best self was yesterday, and who may be different than what my best self will be tomorrow. So just really going with the scope of each and every day, assessing what you have the capacity for and what your best self looks like in that moment, because it'll change.
Yeah. And that's okay. Oh my goodness. So good. Perfectionism, I think, is something that we will probably hear throughout the course of this series as we're talking on the different aspects of self-improvement. But trying to be a perfectionist is something that I know I have struggled with. A lot of women tend to struggle with, women of color. And so what you said really resonated, because you are giving yourself grace to make mistakes. You're giving yourself grace to just be. All of the added pressures that come from life, we all just need a moment sometimes to just be. So I love those mantras. Thank you very much for sharing those. As we talked about, you yourself are an entrepreneur. Can you share maybe some self-improvement lessons or just lessons in general that being an entrepreneur has taught you?
Where do we start, Jessica? Where do we start? And I feel like I'm still learning.
Yes.
To be fully I haven't mastered this entrepreneurial stuff. Even though I've had an LLC since 2013, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure it out each and every day.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Just be a constant learner, be a constant student, because things are changing rapidly. No matter what industry or field you're in, there's always something new coming up. So stay hungry to learn. And there is no, I have arrived. Even when you have hit your goals, it's still, other areas that you can focus on, whether it's automation or whether it's getting more systems or better systems. So there's always something that can be improved. So stay open to that. So those are a couple of ones that come off of the top of my head.
Yes, off the dome.
Yeah. Also discipline. Discipline is a big one.
Yes.
And that's a muscle I'm still trying to flex. So it takes a lot of discipline to be an entrepreneur.
Yes, it does.
A lot of discipline.
Yes.
Of even if you're not getting the feedback or the response you want, continue to go, continue to do what you're called to do, what your purpose is, what your passion is. So,
Yes. Excellent,
mhm.
excellent, excellent advice. Let's talk about some of your role models, maybe people that have influenced you throughout your career, in business and life. Who are some of the people that have made an impact on the Sonya Frazier?
Listen, well, first giving honor to the Lord, who is the head of my life.
Yes.
Okay, so that is the first role model, just to be who
Yes.
I'm called to be and walking in that. And then the next one, I would say a lot of people recently online have been really impactful for me. My leak, who is my leak Teal, she's the founder of Curlbox. If you follow her on Instagram, you're always going to get some type of gem, some type of jewel. And she's very transparent in sharing her story of entrepreneurship. She also has a great podcast as well.
Yes.
And yes, Christina Rice of Omnoir. She's very big with wellness retreats. I just love her energy, love her space, love how she's built her brand and her business.
Yes.
And lastly, Felicia Butterfield Jones, who
Yes.
is doing these mass herd classes Friday nights since the pandemic. I've been there like it's the club. Like it is an amazing space for Black women, Black professionals as well, just to share, grow, sharpen each other's iron. It's
Yes.
always a whole vibe in there and always get something to take.
Yes. Yes, I feel you on all of that. So all of the names that you mentioned, phenomenal women, phenomenal leaders. But just the whole online space is something that really has been, I think, refreshing for me, right? Because I feel like I got to a point as a woman where I started looking around and I'm like, okay, where are the mentors? Where are the people who have already gone through what I'm going through? The people who can identify with some of the things that I'm thinking so that I don't feel like I'm a complete nutcase, right? So having those tools, social media, following people on IG, and people who are secure in their truth and are willing to share their truth has really been something that has been refreshing for me as well. So that is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. You shared some of your mantras about self-care. What are some of the tactical things that people can do, entrepreneurs can do, to maintain a lifestyle that focuses on self-care first?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question. I always say make self-care non-negotiable in your life. So going back to what you said earlier, it being a mindset. So this is something that I'm not willing to compromise on. I'm not going to compromise myself, my sanity, my wellness for anything or anybody. So what does that look like for me? Being intentional about giving myself what I need, and sometimes a little what I want when I can,
Yeah.
just to be honest.
Yeah.
And just really keeping yourself at the forefront of your day. So whether that's waking up or going to bed on time so you can wake up and do that mental, let me prepare myself for the day. That's self-care, scheduling exercise and actually doing it. That's self-care as well. Um, just saying no can be self-care in and of itself. If you're already at capacity, doing that, connecting with friends, that can be a form of self-care, checking in on each other, kikiing, doing
Yeah.
whatever you need to do
Yeah.
just to kind of fill yourself back up. So
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. And I think too, like when we were the year of, 2020 happened and we all were in this position of having to be quarantined and just isolated. The small things became more meaningful, at least for me personally. So like when you say kikiing it with friends and getting in touch with, each other, those small things begin to mean a lot, right? So like you said, small actions, big impact. So in a lot of ways, I think that the time really helped for me as an entrepreneur to refocus and think about what's important. And so when I think about that, it often helps me to be better about self-care because, of course, if we ourselves are not well, then we can't be well to anyone else around us.
Right.
So I definitely appreciate that. Any books or resources that you would recommend for entrepreneurs looking to improve on self-care practices or just, self-improvement overall? Any books that you would recommend?
Absolutely. And this is a good question. And I did a little bit of digging to say, are there any books that are really self-care driven? And, it brought me back to the question of self-care is very personal. So what might work for me may not work for you for self-care. So I would just encourage everyone to really explore who they are, what your interests are, what do you like to do, what brings you joy, what makes you feel fulfilled, and pursue those things. So whether it's an activity or a book talking about that topic or traveling to explore when everything is safe, I would encourage everyone to do that. Also, The Four Agreements. I love that book as it just really sets the tone of rules to live by, of not compromising yourself, your values. That's by Don Miguel Ruiz. Also, The Alchemist. I love that book as well. It's a very popular one. Just to really walk you through the self-discovery and your pursuit of purpose. I think that story just goes to show a lot of the journey of walking in your truth and your purpose. Also, I do listen to a podcast by Debbie Brown called Dropping Gems. Great podcast as well. Just to really focus on yourself.
Nice. Well, you have been an absolute joy, Miss Sonya. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you have shared with us today. Lastly, what I would like for you to do is just tell the people how they can get in contact with you, where they can follow you at online, so that if they are looking for resources regarding self-care, mental health, self-improvement, where can they contact you?
Sure. You can follow me on Instagram at the Sonya Frazier, or the Sonya Frazier, Sonyafrazier. Also, I have a website, sonyafrazier.com, spelled the same way, and Modus Life LLC.com. So hit me up.
Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Well, I again have the treasure of having Miss Sonya as a friend. So I get all of the
mutual treasure. Mutual treasure.
Yes. So I get all of these gems and jewels on a regular basis, but I implore you all, if you've heard anything, which I know that you have, heard some things that have impacted you, that will spark some things on this continuous journey of self-improvement and self-care, that you definitely hit up Miss Sonya Frazier, follow her on IG. She's really, I love it because you hold us accountable as well. And that's a big thing for me. It's just that accountability piece. So thank you for being an online accountability partner for self-care, and in real life, of course. So any parting words, any last things you want to say to the people, to the entrepreneurs? You have the floor.
Yes, I would just say self-care is the best care. Make yourself a priority. It really translates across your personal life and your professional life. So choose yourself, and stay connected. Join groups, join webinars like this, chats, just so you're not alone and you can bounce ideas off of each other and continue to grow and flourish.
Yes. Yes. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time. And hopefully we'll invite you back for a part 2, because there's tons of things we can talk about surrounding self-care. So
Absolutely.
yes, but until next time, we will cut it for now and see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
The reason really why I started Simplistic Touch was I felt like growing up, well, my grandparents, they raised me, and I felt like they just gave me such an awesome foundation with humility and helping people. And that just gives me like so much joy to be able to do that for people, because the world that we're living in, as you know, it's like always something going on. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be able to come into people's lives and find a way to assist them in any way that I possibly can. And the way that I love to do that is by helping them get organized. So I go into their homes or their businesses, whatever the case may be, and I'm creating functional systems so that they can have a stress-free environment.